What's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. So glad to have you guys in today. What I'm going to be doing today, guys, is I am going to be giving y'all my playoff and Super Bowl predictions for the 2023-2024 season. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going conference by conference. And I'm going to start with the NFC because my NFC predictions are a little bit more chalky, whereas my AFC predictions are a little bit more spicy. So, I'm going to start with the NFC and then save the best for last, the AFC. And then I'm going to eventually get to my Super Bowl and who I have winning and everything like that. So I'm going to start right here with my 1 seed in the NFC, and that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. We know that the Philadelphia Eagles are ridiculously good on both sides of the ball, right? They had 4 pass rushers last season get double-digit sacks, right? That's absolutely unbelievable. This is something that, you're just not going to see again for a very long time. The pass rush is ridiculously good. Obviously, they have one of the best corners in the game in Darius Slay. Defense wins championships. It's a good reason why the Eagles were so good last year. And then, obviously, we have the best offensive line in the NFL, an incredibly talented quarterback in Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. They're loaded with pass catchers. They added DeAndre Swift to their backfield. This team somehow got better over the offseason. Although I thought that it was almost impossible for them to improve, they somehow found a way to do it. They're even better coming into this next season. I think they're going to steamroll every team in the NFC and be the easy 1 seed. So that's my 1 seed. And if we're looking up top, here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at the 4 and 5. And what I have predicted for the 4-5 is the Falcons and the Cowboys. I have the Falcons in the 4 seed winning their division, mainly because their division sucks and also because of the fact that they're going to plan on running the ball a lot this year. This is going to make up for their defense that's probably going to suck again. Obviously, they made a few key additions to their defense, but I don't think their defense is going to be good at all. This is why they're building their team around the run, because the best cure for a bad defense is to keep your defense off the field, right? So if they can run the ball a lot, they can keep their defense off the field. The offensive line has the ceiling to be a top 5 overall offensive line in the NFL. We got Bijan Robinson. We got Tyler Algier. Man, they spent a top 8 overall pick in the NFL draft and a running back. They're going to run him into the ground. This is going to be a run-heavy attack, and they do have 2 very good pass catchers in Kyle Pitts and Drake London. I think they're going to be just good enough to win the division, but I do think they're going to be the worst team in the NFL that actually makes the playoffs this season. They're going to be playing the Cowboys week 1 in my chart that I have here. The Cowboys, I have them as a 5 seed, as the top wild card seed, because I think they're going to have a very good season once again, but I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Eagles, so I think by default they're going to be a wild card team. Obviously, one of the best defenses in the NFL right here with the Dallas Cowboys, led by Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. This is a very good defensive unit, obviously loaded with pass-catching weapons as well with, CeeDee Lamb, and they added Brandon Cooks, Tony Pollard, an elite pass-catching back. If Dak Prescott can actually step up and be good in the playoffs, this team can make a deep run. That remains to be seen, but I think they're going to absolutely destroy the Falcons if they do indeed meet in week 1 or in the first week of the playoffs. So I have the Cowboys winning this game 37-17. Looking at my predicted 3-6 matchup, I have the Lions and the Packers. I do have the Packers sneaking their way into the playoffs, but I'm going to get to them in a second. I first want to talk about the Lions, who I think are going to be one of the better teams in the NFL this year. The Lions, led by Jared Goff, a quarterback that isn't really known for being a good NFL quarterback, but has led a team to a Super Bowl before. The offense led by Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. They added Jahmyr Gibbs. They have probably a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. Great offensive lines produce great offenses. I absolutely love the Lions this season, and they're good on the defensive side of the ball as well. If Jack Campbell can kind of help, keep the offenses at bay and kind of help contain the running game a little bit more this year, that could be huge for the Lions. Their biggest weakness by far last year was their inability to stop the run, but this offense is going to be so darn good. I think they're going to be able to control time of possession, and because of this, I think they're going to be a very good football team that scores a lot of points. And I love the prospects for the Lions this year because I think that even though their defense might still be a little bit questionable, their offense is going to be so good that they're going to score their way into the playoffs. And now on the other side of this matchup, I had them playing against the Packers, a defense led by Jair Alexander. Look, this can be a very good defensive unit or it can be totally average. We really don't know with the Packers. It's kind of a wild card as far as their defense, but I do think the offense is going to be better than expected. We have Jordan Love leading the offense, and I think that he's a little bit better of a quarterback than people give him credit for. And look, will this offense take a hit with losing Aaron Rodgers? Yes, but I think that Jordan Love can pick up a lot more of the slack than people think. And this is an offense with a loaded backfield. I mean, if nothing else, they can just dominate with their run game. Aaron Jones, one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL. He's averaged over 5 yards a carry in his career. He's an incredibly efficient back. They got a great 1-2 punch with A.J. Dillon running behind him. Is kind of the big bruiser back. And then Aaron Jones, changes the pace completely with his, game-breaking speed and big playability and, ability to run between the tackles and create big plays. This is a very good backfield. And then obviously you have one of the fastest and most talented wide receivers in the entire NFL in Christian Watson to lead the wide receiving core. This is a 6'5" wide receiver that runs a 4.3. He's basically a faster Mike Evans. I love the prospects for this offense. I think it could be way better than expected. So I think that they're going to sneak their way into the playoffs as a wild card team. But I do have the Lions beating them 31-23 in the first round of the playoffs because I think the Lions at the end of the day are just a better football team. All right. Moving on to my 2-7 matchup, I've got the 49ers and the Bears. Yes, I do have the Bears sneaking their way into the playoffs. They allowed 27.2 points per game last season, so the defense for the Chicago Bears was absolutely terrible, but I think that this team is building themselves around the run for a reason, right? They drafted a stud running back in Rashawn Johnson. We've got a running back who was the most efficient running back in the entire league last season in Khalil Herbert, right? And so, we've got a very good backfield. They bolstered up the offensive line. This team is going to run the ball a lot, thus keep the ball out of their defense's hands. And like I said earlier, the best cure for a bad defense, other than bolstering the defense itself, is to run the ball, control the time of possession, and keep the ball out of the hands of your opponent's offense. So that's what the Bears are going to do this year. Because of that and because of Justin Fields' tremendous playmaking ability, both with his arms and legs, I think that the Bears are going to go ahead and creep their way into the playoffs as the last wildcard team. I have them playing against the 49ers in the first week of the playoffs. The 49ers I have as the 2 seed coming out of – sorry, guys, I have to plug something in real quick. I have the 49ers as the 2 seed coming out of the NFC, but I have the Bears upsetting them in round 1 of the playoffs in this 7-2 matchup. If this does indeed happen, I think the Bears will have more than enough ability to go ahead and dominate with the run game like they're going to do all season long, even though they're playing against a very good run defense in the San Francisco 49ers. I think that as long as the Bears' offensive line stays healthy, their backfield and Justin Fields stay healthy, I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop this run game because, well, it's just going to be so hard to account for all the threats in the backfield. I mean, Justin Fields can obviously take off and run the ball for 70 yards quite easily. And then we've got a running back in Khalil Herbert, who was the most efficient back in the league last year, who ran the ball for 5.9 yards per carry. I think this is going to be an unstoppable running attack. They're going to control the time of possession in this game and pull off the upset. I have the Bears winning this game 27-24. Moving on to the second round, we're going to start with the Eagles and the Bears, who I have upsetting the 49ers. We have the Eagles as the 1 seed, the lowest remaining seed in the Bears. They're going to be playing them in week 2. If this matchup does indeed happen, I have the Eagles just absolutely destroying the Bears. I mean, I have them winning this game 33-20. The Eagles, like I said, they're ridiculously good on both sides of the ball. They have absolutely no weaknesses in any way, shape, and form. I don't even have to waste a whole lot of time talking about them. This offense will put points on the board like crazy. And despite the fact that the Bears have a very good run game and potentially even a good passing game, the Eagles will at least be able to keep them at bay. I had the Eagles winning this game 33-20. Moving on to my next game, which is going to be the Cowboys versus the Lions. Now, in this game, I think it's going to be a very good game. And I had the Lions pulling up an upset 30-27 over the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys always choking round 2 of the playoffs. I'm not going to say I want to base everything off of this because I know that these things can change. It's not necessarily a thing where the Cowboys are always going to lose in the second round of the playoffs. In fact, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I really don't want this to happen. I would love for them to advance. But at the end of the day, Dak Prescott will probably choke again in the playoffs like he always does and like he always has. And I have the Lions winning this game a little bit, not only because of that, but because I'm just so sold on the Lions on both ends of the ball. I mean, this offense is going to be one of the best offenses in the NFL, despite being led by Jared Goff. This guy can lead a very good offense if he has the right weapon. If he has the right weapons, we saw it in his season with the Rams. So I love Jared Goff this season, and I love the Rams. I love the offense. I love the defense. I love everything about this team. It's going to be a very good matchup with the Cowboys. They're 2 very evenly matched teams, but I think the Lions are going to pull off the win by 3 points in this game, 30-27. Moving on to my final game in the NFC Championship. I've got the Eagles versus the Lions. I think that the Eagles are going to win this game pretty handily. I got them winning by 8 points, 35-27. Like I said, the Eagles are just so incredibly good on both sides of the ball. And an offense led by Jalen Hurts with this offensive line with an improved backfield. I just don't see how anyone has any chance of stopping this offense and stopping this run game this season. The offensive line's too good. The threats in the backfield are too good. Jalen Hurts is too good of a runner. He's too good of a passer. There's so many great passing weapons. This is by far and away the most talented team in the NFL, so I had them going to the Super Bowl a second season in a row. Moving on to the AFC. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at here is we're going to be looking at my 1 seed. Now, the 1 seed, like I said, this is a little bit more, unpredictable on this side, but I have the 1 seed as the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets, I have them winning the division, and yes, they're in a division with the Buffalo Bills, so that's saying a lot, okay? But I have the Jets being the 1 seed this year And I have them, look, we got Sauce Gardner. He absolutely impressed us as a rookie and was absolutely awesome in every way, shape, and form. If he's able to somehow build on what he's already done, I see this New York Jets defense just being pretty unstoppable. Obviously, we've got Quinnen Williams on the defensive end of the ball as well. This defense has a ceiling to be a top 1 overall defense in the entire NFL. I love the prospects for the Jets defense, and obviously they added Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and they have a stud wide receiver in Garrett Wilson to sling the rock. If Breece Hall's able to stay healthy, this team is going to be lethal on both sides of the ball. So I have them having the best record in the AFC this year in the regular season. So I'm going to move on to my other playoff matchups. First, I want to start with my 4-5 matchup, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins. Okay, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're led by their offense because their defense absolutely sucks. But what we have is a third-year Trevor Lawrence and an addition of Calvin Ridley, a stud pass catching and running back in the backfield in Travis Etienne. I love this offense. I think they're going to score their way into the playoffs, and I think that they're going to win their division. And then we look at the Miami Dolphins, who I had them matched up against. The Miami Dolphins, I'm actually pretty big on them this year. Look, they acquired Jalen Ramsey over this offseason. Xavier Howard, another key piece of that defense. This team's going to be very hard to pass on, and they obviously have the fastest offense in the NFL, probably the fastest offense I've ever seen with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and Devin Achane. I mean, there's so much speed in this offense. I just don't see how anybody's going to be able to stop them. I have this offense absolutely bludgeoning the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first game of the playoffs. I have them winning this game 41-23 because they're just the better team on both sides of the ball. Then looking at my 3-6, we've got the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills. Yes, I have the Cleveland Browns winning their division and being the 3 seed. I have the Bills as a wild card this season because I think that the Jets are going to beat the Bills in the division. And so Bills-Browns week 1, a lot of people probably assume that the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. I see it in a completely different way. I think the Browns are going to handle the Buffalo Bills. Yes, I think it's going to be a close game, but look, if you look at this Cleveland Browns team and you get over the fact that they're the Cleveland Browns and you just really look at this team, they are one of the best teams in the NFL, okay? We add Deshaun Watson, a quarterback who was a top 5 quarterback every single season that he was at Houston, and this was with having no offensive weapons outside of DeAndre Hopkins. You now put him in a good system with Nick Chubb, an elite offensive line, Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Donovan Peoples-Jones. There's so many stud pass catchers in this offense. There are so many elite offensive weapons. This is going to be by far and away the best offense that Deshaun Watson has ever played in. And people are going to see how good of a quarterback Deshaun Watson really is when he actually has weapons. This is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I have all the confidence in the world in the Browns to make a deep run this year. And then obviously on the defensive side of the ball, you have one of the best players in the entire NFL in Myles Garrett. This is a very, very good football team. I have them knocking off the Bills in the first round of the playoffs, 27-24. I know the Bills are great on both sides of the ball as well, but I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to be even slightly better this year. All right, moving on to my 2 versus 7. I've got the Chiefs and the Bengals. Now, we've seen the Chiefs and Bengals meet in back-to-back seasons in the AFC Championship. I have them meeting earlier this year. I have the Kansas City Chiefs as the 2 seed. And look, this is a team led by Pat Mahomes, obviously, right? So this is going to be one of the best teams in the NFL yet again because they're led by arguably the best quarterback of all time. At the end of the day, though, I mean, their defense is more on the average side, I think. I think that the defense can be good. It was pretty good last year. But at the end of the day, it's an average defense, right? They don't really have a defense that really pops out at you. I think that they're going to outscore their opponents all season long, though, with Pat Mahomes at the helm and the addition of Kadarius Toney. And, this is just a very good offensive football team led by a very good head coach in Andy Reid. I had them playing the Bengals in week 1. The reason I had the Bengals just sneaking their way into the playoffs is because their defense is absolutely terrible. Honestly, the Bengals have no defense, and they're going to score their way into the playoffs because of the Bengals led by Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. This is an extremely good football team, but at the end of the day, they have a bad defense. I have them losing in the first round of the playoffs in a massive shootout to the Kansas City Chiefs, 41-40. Moving on, we're going to be looking at Browns and Chiefs in round 2. Now, this is going to be one of the most exciting games in the NFL in the playoffs this year, if it does indeed happen. I have the Browns edging out the Chiefs 28-27 in the second round. Yes, I have the Browns going to the AFC Championship this year and maybe further. Who knows? So the Browns edging out the Chiefs 28-27. I just think that the Browns are a better team on both sides of the ball. Honestly, take quarterback out of the equation, right? And just look at the rosters. The Browns have a significantly more loaded offense. They have a better offensive line, and they have a significantly better defense. They're a way better football team than the Chiefs if you take the quarterback situation out of the equation. Now let's add in the quarterbacks. Okay, the difference between Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson is not that great. In fact, Deshaun Watson's almost just as good of a quarterback as Pat Mahomes. People aren't going to say that because of recency bias and because I haven't seen him play in a while, but this is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And with a loaded offensive system, he can be just as good as Pat Mahomes, guys. Trust me. So there really isn't as big of a quarterback discrepancy in talent in this matchup as people think. And if you take quarterback out of the equation, the Browns are better on both sides of the ball. So I have them winning a very close game, because at the end of the day, it is the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes, but I have them winning a very close game, 28-27 against the Chiefs. I like the Browns to advance to the AFC Championship game. And so let's look at my New York Jets versus the Miami Dolphins. Now, this is going to be a game that I'm very excited about. Obviously, both offenses are very good, but I think this is going to be more of a defensive matchup just because I think we're going to have two defenses here that are potentially like top 5 to 7 defenses in the entire league this year. I think the New York Jets, like I said, could be the number 1 defense in football. They obviously have both very good offenses. I have the Dolphins actually upsetting the Jets in this game, 20-17, and what's more of a defensive matchup. But at the end of the day, the Dolphins are going to win with their awesome wide receiving core because at the end of the day, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle together is absolutely unstoppable. You can only double team one of them, and both of them are impossible to cover in single coverage. They're going to light up the scoreboards all season long. They're going to help the Dolphins get their way through the playoffs and get all the way to the AFC Championship where they play the Browns. I have the Dolphins edging out the Browns in this game, 26-23, in what's a very close, middling scoring type of game. Both teams have such good offenses, such exciting offenses. A young, talented Tua Vailoa, the track and field team on the field for the Miami Dolphins with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and Devin Achane. I love this offense. It's very exciting to watch. The Browns are a great team on both sides of the ball. Like I said, they're going to be lethal with Deshaun Watson. But at the end of the day, I think the Miami Dolphins, if Tua stays healthy this year, are absolutely going to be the most unstoppable team. And so I actually have them coming out of the AFC. So like I said, my AFC predictions are a lot less chalky than my NFC predictions. It was a lot more fun to go through this conference. So now I'm going to get to the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, I have the Eagles playing the Dolphins. This is going to be a fun game, guys. I have the Eagles edging out the Dolphins 30-27. And the reason I have them winning 30-27 is because at the end of the day, I think they're the best football team in the NFL. And outside of some sort of fluke or some sort of injury, I think that the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl this year. So I have a lot of confidence. I mean, we know how good this offensive line is. We know how good Jalen Hurts is, the pass catchers, the backfield, the defense, the pass rush, you know, how they can get to the quarterback and how they can rack up the sack numbers, how they can, they're probably going to cause a lot of havoc for Tua in this game, and so he's not going to be able to get the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as much as he normally does. I still think they're going to be putting points on the board and everything like that, but at the end of the day, the Eagles are a better football team. I had them beating the Dolphins 30-27 in the Super Bowl this coming season. So those are actually my predictions for the coming year. Obviously, these things can change a lot because a lot changes between now and the time the season starts. A lot changes throughout the season. So this was just kind of a fun video I wanted to do to give you all my playoff predictions and my Super Bowl predictions. And if I'm able to call the Super Bowl this far out, y'all got to give me props because it's very hard to do at this point in the season. And I'm not just picking the two chalkiest teams. My NFC pick obviously is a little bit chalky in the Eagles, but nobody's picking the Miami Dolphins to go in the AFC. And I don't know why, because I think they're one of the better teams over there in the AFC. So I have an Eagles-Dolphins Super Bowl. It's going to be fun to watch. I hope I predict this right. I hope this video is fun for you guys. All right, appreciate it. Catch you later.